Hey there, rulers. Welcome back. It's the start of a new week, so if you have any extra questions, come on down to Office Hours. It's your favorite Force of Will podcast, casual chatting time featuring myself, Jeremy Franklin, and I am joined, as always, by Mike Rance
Hello, friends.
and Paul Reisman.
Hello, friends.
Good. So tonight, at this point in time, we're not going to do spoilers anymore. The past few weeks, we've been focusing on spoilers because it's been the time. Before that, our very first episode was just kind of talking about things in general with FAO. We are now at the start of a brand new cluster, so we are kind of having a little bit of a state of the game kind of discussion. Before we get into that, though, I do want to say if you like what we're doing and want to support us, you can click that subscribe button down below, get notified when all of our videos go up or when our live streams go up, as well as potentially click that join button to become a member, an alumni here of Ruler School. It is the easiest way to support us financially, goes way above just getting the ad revenue from videos. So if you like what we do and you want us to be able to support us, get new equipment like these microphones, this tripod, new camera, all of that stuff to be able to improve content, it is the way to help us. Obviously, of course, you're more than welcome to just enjoy and be here, and we're happy to have you. But if you want to support us even more, you can click on that join button and help us out that way. That being said, though, we are at the beginning of a new cluster. New Valhalla is gone. Bye. Let's have a moment of silence for New Valhalla and DBV going. Okay, that was a good moment of silence. We can move on. Yeah, we don't need to pour one out.
Pour one out. No, I can't miss that.
Yeah, don't.
You can't do that. That's empty.
Yeah, don't do that. But what I really wanted to talk about is there have been some noticeable changes with people looking at the new set as it's come out, both in terms of set design and in terms of product design, that I think just bear talking about. And then there have been, how do I say this? There has been whispers of rumors of how things actually are in terms of the community, or in terms of the life of this game, that I think bear discussion and correction, because there are definitely things that have been misconstrued or appear to be coming from a voice point that doesn't have justification for that voice point, and I think it's important to
say it.
And I think it's important to address these things head on, and kind of help center people better. Full disclosure, I mean, take everything that we say here with a grain of salt if you want, because as everyone says all the time, I guess maybe Jeremy's just a gigantic shill and I can never be negative about this company. I would encourage you to go watch a bunch of these live streams where I have been publicly critical or given my recommendations on things that get to be done better. But here you are, I guess.
Oh, Jeremy, I just thought of a really good idea. Now
Yeah?
that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you should have a series where you just stream shows and watch the shows. We call it Netflix and Chill.
I can't. Wait, that's a genius idea. Anyway, so first off, I do want to talk about. I guess I'll leave it to you guys, the two of you, where you want to start us. I want to talk about the game stuff towards the end, because I think it's going to be a bit of a longer discussion, and I'd really like to get the community's involvement there too. I kind of want to talk about the changes in what we've seen about in set design and product design, and I'm wondering where you guys would like to start first.
Yeah, that's totally fine by me. I mean, if we want to talk product-wise, I know one of the biggest things that's kind of gone around has been the ratio changes that we've seen.
Yeah.
Between this set going from, back in the day we would get two rulers a box in Grim and Alice cluster, Lapis cluster, Rhea cluster 2, but we've moved back to one ruler per box, and the rulers are in the packs. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is the Marvel rare ratios going down from 5 in a box to 3 in a box.
And super rares have also gone down slightly from 18 or 19 to 16.
Yeah. So that's actually, I didn't even know. I hadn't cracked my boxes yet.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing to take away from that is the fact that obviously it's a bit of a blow to the community to have lower sets, lower ratios in sets. just because it means, obviously buy more product to get more stuff, and there's more fluff between the product. So, that's something that'll obviously be a bit of a like a rough point for the community. But at the
Sure.
same time, it's like we've already had sets with like a ton of fluff. Like I'm talking like I opened Alice Origin 1 and was just like, none of these cards in this pack felt good at all. Next. Nothing felt good. Next. But opening these packs, I didn't really feel the same way, despite the fact that there's more fluff overall. It's just like the card design overall has felt a little more free spirited, I would say. And
Yeah.
you don't really feel as much of the brute force of losing those super rare and Marvel rare slots, just because the rares are still already good.
Yeah, that
Like,
too. Like I think kind of across the board, the rares for this set have certainly felt better.
yeah. The
Than
Exorcist, though.
like I think the rares as a whole have felt better than they have in the past. I mean, there have been sets where we have had looked at I mean, back in the era of commons, uncommons, and even in the era of normals, where it's just like some of these normals are better than these rares.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's the case in this set. Like I can't think of a off the top of my head, I can't think of a normal where I'm like, yeah, I think this is just hands and fists better than every single rare. Or like
Yeah, you don't get that a lot. But, I mean, last set, what? Schrodinger's Cry was a normal last set? That card was insane. Like,
yeah, that was a normal last set.
like
Yeah.
actively one of the best cards in the set. Yeah. But I think one of the biggest things about rulers going down to one per box, something that people just don't realize, is that it's the same thing as just putting in the rulers as a box topper in the set. Like, it's the same exact ratio there. You just don't have it off the top. It actually takes up a slot in the box, which means you're missing out on one rare slot.
And they just
Which, like,
but they put a super rare as the box topper. So like
Yeah.
technically
So-
you're getting 17 supers per box instead of just 18.
and it makes the ruler feel more special to pull out of the pack. Like, obviously, you like the promo art for this card that you got because it's it's a promo, it's a super rare, it's something that you wanted to get out of the box going into the box. But you still have the ruler if you're picking out the box. The one thing that a lot of people are definitely talk about, and the reason that I think a lot of people are upset, is that you can't do what happened back in the day, where people would be like, "Oh, this seems like a fun game, but I don't want to invest heavily into it." You and a friend go in on one box, each of you pulls a ruler, builds a deck out of that. That's kind of the feeling that we're going to miss with moving away from the two rulers per box. And I think it's a step that the company is going to want to take back into effect, especially if they want a new crowd.
Yeah.
It's very easy to sell the one ruler boxes to older players. It's not quite as easy to sell it to.
Yeah, I gave feedback to Kim almost immediately after opening my boxes for my advanced sneak peek boxes for the recordings of like I think you need to go back to 2 if you're not going to bring starter decks back. Purely because like you will move product to newer players easier. Older players don't care as much. I mean, sure, we do care, but also at the same time, like, whatever. We were buying a bunch of product anyway.
Exactly.
Like, whatever.
Especially if you're moving the Marvel Rare slot down to 3, that's ample room to bump up. You can either bump up the Marvels or bump up the ruler. You shouldn't pull back both, is my overall opinion on the subject.
Yeah.
Let's let Paul talk for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Paul. Like, this is the first time in a while that you've actually gotten to open a lot of packs.
Yeah.
Like, because for the most part, for the past like 2 years, it's been I open packs and just hand you as much of a play set as we can. This was your first. This is your first chance to like actually be opening packs and like play in the sealed and like get the feel of what pack opening was more like at a bigger level. So I am interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So when I sit on this like trio and I think about this as like a teaching assistant to you and to Mike, I think about, okay, I'm the budget player, I'm the new person getting into the game. And when I think about New Valhalla, speaking of pouring one out for New Valhalla, the thing I really liked about that is, okay, I can pick up my machine list. Like, there's some probably like Clorox bleach you can use on the carpet if you really want to. Like,
it's hovering over my laptop. I'm not doing it.
I love the idea of picking up the starter deck and saying, okay, I want to play Machina. I want to play Machina for the entirety of New Valhalla block because I'm a budget player and I don't have all of this money for all these other cards, right? I just want the runes. I just want all of that stuff, maybe some crisscrossing, but for the most part, this is my color for the entire 4 sets. And for the most part, you could do that. That was something I really enjoyed about New Valhalla. Jumping to this set, the thing that I miss is, again, like what you were all talking about. If we're not going to have structure decks, we need accessibility to rulers. And I don't like the idea of like, I really want to invest heavily into this game as a budget player, but to get all of the rulers, I either have to buy 6 boxes and hope that I get them, or I have to do some trading to figure this whole thing out. And right now, locals are a problem, right, because of COVID. So I think putting 2 back into the box, it does what Mike was talking about with the sort of the veteran players, where they could split a box, pull out a ruler. We have fewer rulers in the set, which is nice, but then we're still getting the best of Alice cluster, where I can buy a box. This is my ruler. Hopefully, in all these packs, I get some decent stuff to use this ruler, and then I can just play that ruler now. But accessibility is a problem right now, and I think it was a good decision to say to Kim, like, hey, we could actually use 2 more rulers. You could use 2 rulers per box so that the game is a little bit more accessible. And for me, it felt good to open the packs, and it felt good to get the cards out. And it was like, okay, these are kind of interesting. I was mentioning to Jeremy, this feels a lot like Quest for the Gauntlet. That was Kaijudo's big push in terms of its drafting scene, to try and make draft like a normal gameplay option for Kaijudo players. And this feels exactly the same way. It's, hey, build this deck. There's intentional design behind this stuff. We want you to use symbols. The will symbols kind of contain everything to one color, and they all just kind of work together. And I really enjoyed drafting because of that. So in a lot of ways, I enjoyed this set more, opening this pack more than I did way back in Alice Origins 4, because we actually opened that together too. We opened a couple of boxes. But it's a lot. Tell me what your thoughts are.
No, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying. I think the one thing that we have now that's different than in the old days in all of New Valhalla and even Alice Origins cluster is we do have the new basic ruler, which if you're getting a pre-release kit, which is a thing that a lot of players are doing right now, you have access to. And I think that kind of ties into my next question, my next topic about like set design is like the cards, the set was designed to be able to function like and still get the good enjoyments of the game without having the specialty rulers. Like, don't get me wrong, in competitive level, you are still very much going to need one of the actual rulers to be able to play. But like, buy 6 packs, get a draft ruler. Okay, buy 10 packs, I guess, because you need enough for a 40 card deck. But like, you could very much play Force of Will with a draft ruler with the way that these cards are designed. And I think the only mechanic that you can't like really use to like peak efficiency is Explore. But like, they designed the treasures that they could just be cast from hand, so like you still can use them and like get the effects and everything else. So like, to me, the set design was very, very smartly done. And so, my encouragement to people, and I'd be interested to hear what the chat has to say about this and what you guys have to say about this, is like, yes, I think the encouragement is that we need to try to go back to 2 rulers per box. However, I definitely don't. I think the set is designed in such a way that if players can't get J rulers, they can still play Force of Will with the way the basic ruler has been designed and the way the set has been designed. Like, you're not locked out of playing just because you didn't pack a J ruler, because they designed the set and the basic ruler in such a way that they still interact with each other really, really well for a game of Force of Will. I don't know, thoughts? I'm trying to look at the chat.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat too. I'm trying to
Same.
kind of keep up there.
Shout out to the chat.
Yeah,
Big
people.
shout out, big shout out to Stephen Holsheiser saying that Ragnarok should have been the basic draft ruler.
No.
Coolest draft ever.
Yeah, he's much too complicated for a new player for sure.
Also, we essentially banned him from our draft because we're like,
Although
there's no downside to playing him, pretty much.
alternative draft format?
No. Still no.
No? Okay.
Still
Okay.
no. Yeah, I don't
Advanced
know.
draft format.
Advanced draft format. I don't know. So what are your thoughts about that with like the set design? Like as we move the conversation to set design, that like this hurdle of not having a J ruler, but we have this draft ruler, and kind of the way the set was designed.
I mean, the big thing with that is that it's tough to get people into a game if they're not guaranteed one of the things that literally lets them play the game.
Sure.
But
Yes.
But I definitely agree with what Dan from CCG Prime is saying, and the fact that you kind of want the J ruler to feel special, and you want packing it to feel like, you know, a big accomplishment without, you know, taking away the fact that it's a gateway into the game. And I think that's why that 2 per box is just like that right in the middle sweet spot for keeping it pretty interesting. Like it's a 1 in 18 shot out of a box to get a J ruler.
Yeah.
So you're already gambling it and you're already doing that. But at the same time, it's like 1 in 18 means that if you buy, say, 6 packs, like generally $20 at your locals get you 6 packs. It's like a 1 in 3 shot out of those packs to get it. The math is probably totally off there. If anybody is a mathematician here wants to correct that, by all means.
It'd be a 1 in 6. Well, sorry, with 2 rulers per box, it'd be. Yeah, the math works out very differently because each individual pack becomes like has its own ratios,
exactly.
and then you like multiply it.
There's some probability.
We gotta get Ryan Miles in here. He'd do the math for us.
Mr. Batman. So, no, but I definitely agree that 2 is like that sweet spot that hits, like, as you agree, I almost said sweet spot, perfect. It's definitely that like perfect middle ground of like making it just special enough to feel like you've accomplished something by really taking it out of the pack. It's not just like they open the pack, the ruler's there, play a tournament to get it. It's like you're going in on it, you know that the ruler's somewhere in the box, you throw $20 at your locals, you get 6 packs, so your friend gets 6 packs, your other friend gets 6 packs, and you're like, all right, who's going to get it? And now there's a game within that game.
Yeah.
Of like, we want to pull the best cards, but we want to pull the J ruler so that we can start building our deck. And then if somebody doesn't pull the J ruler, it's like, all right, cool, well, let's go in on the other set, because now there's another one in there. We know the first one's gone. Because after the first, that's the thing is, if somebody witnesses somebody pull a J ruler out of that box that your locals has when there's 1 J ruler in the box, nobody's going after the box anymore because there's no guarantee of a J ruler.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's the metagaming.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a part of it that Force of Will is still very much printing based on pre-orders, right? And so, like, when you're printing to pre-orders, that means that people are buying boxes. Like the product purchase is boxes, not packs. And so there's an element of like set design and set ratios that's kind of based on that. I think that, and you know, in some ways that's smart to kind of keep building set numbers and everything else with COVID and everything else. But I think overall a transition back to 2 will be very helpful. I think that I think we can say that they're doing everything they can to mitigate how much of a gateway packing a ruler is right now, as much as they can.
Yep.
But they still can improve, which is, why I send them feedback.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Because, like, obviously the company needs to know what players are experiencing. Because, honestly, putting the rulers back in the boxes was a really smart idea. I like it a lot more than having it in starters, and I like it way more than having it as box toppers. Because box toppers, you get that same feel of like, all right, cool, I have to buy however many boxes to see if I can gamble on getting
the one off the top.
Right, exactly. So it's like the gamble is immediate, and it's like you don't feel the same way about it. Like, in terms of between 1 ruler in the packs and 1 ruler as box topper, if you're opening boxes on your own by just buying them in stock, it doesn't really matter too much. but having it for the local game shop mindset is a really, really big deal.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is this decrease in set ratios is a boost to the secondary market. How big of a boost, we'll have to see. But I don't think it's like a boost to being awful. I think it's a boost to being stable. Particularly speaking to the Marvel Rare decrease. Super rares have been binder flooding for a very long time. Like in Force of Will, like in my opinion, going from 18 to 16, technically 17, because one of them's a box topper. Whatever. Like, it was so much that when I opened my 2 boxes, I was just like, this is a lot of supers. Like, it didn't feel like a downgrade.
Rares traditionally have always been more rare than supers, which is kind of funny.
Right. Because of how many rares there are. Marvel rares going down. You know, I'll have to wait and see if 3 is too few. 5 was too many. If you go on TCG Player right now, the most expensive non-foil Marvel Rare from last set is $7.
Mm-hmm.
That's not expensive. You can get a Grand Cross for less than $1. That's a card that only has 5 potential options to be pulled from a box. With how many boxes were purchased and how many pre-release kits were purchased, 5 was too many. The market got super flooded. So going down to 3, I think, is a very nice way to help stabilize the value of a Marvel Rare and like make it feel more special. The question now is it too few? Is 3 too little? Is 5 is too much? So we discovered the upper range. Is 3 too few? And I think that'll be dependent on what we see price wise, right? So like to me, I would be interested to hear your thoughts, both of you guys' thoughts, both Paul as the budget player mindset and Mike as the longtime player mindset, of if non-foil Marvels sat between 20 to 30 and foil Marvels sat between 35 to 50, would that be a price point that you would feel properly reflects like the rarity of them, like a justifiable rarity of them, power level of them, price?
I think it'll probably depend, because like the big thing with the 5 Marvel Rares in the box last time is that they weren't all staples for their specific decks. They were very, very good cards.
Sure.
But they were not all.
Mike vanished.
He's frozen in time. I guess I'll go.
Yeah, Paul, go.
So, I want to back up. Oh God, he's gone now.
He's
gone.
the power of time. The power of time spinning has erased him.
Wow, that was the biggest
exactly how time travel works
ever taken on me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
like there is someone trying to eliminate you from time and space, and that's why you leave and immediately come back. And I don't know why they keep doing it.
It's Jeremy, because I keep fucking up his streams.
You're the epicenter.
My hands are right here.
All right, they weren't there when I went out, but.
You want to continue, or do you or can I go, Mike? Your choice.
You can go first. I'm gonna recollect my thoughts now that I said "God damn it" a bunch of times.
After you come back from the void of time, I want to go back to I just want to comment on the ruler discussion, because I think so often I just hear this conversation go into either the rulers are in the packs, or the rulers are the box toppers, or the rulers are the starter decks, and they're like, it can only be 3 of those options, and that's totally it. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, wait. We have seen Force of Will bend the rules of trading card games before and say we can make everything a full art and then it feels good, but I never feel good if I don't get a ruler that I want. And I don't feel good as a budget player not having access to a ruler that I want. So the idea of like a ruler being $2 or $3 is perfect. And I think when you make them box toppers, that is absolutely 100% perfect. Now, we have alternate arts. I want 2 rulers per box, and I want the chance of getting an alternate art ruler in the packs, but it's not guaranteed. Because I want that thing to shoot up. But I want to play my ruler. So, like, I don't want to have to go and spend, like, God knows how much money trying to get any kind of ruler. Like,
Sure.
I just don't want... That was awful. Like, I remember playing back in Lapis Cluster, and that was awful. But I think there is a way to still bring value to a ruler. And, I mean, we've done this before with Ubers, etc. Now, Jeremy, what's the question I'm supposed to be talking about?
Well, the question is, so, like, in my mind, with the Marvel rares that we're seeing,
Yes.
and kind of my understanding of what price values have looked like in Force of Will, of like high performing supers, yada yada yada. My thought is at 3 per pack, I could see the price stabilizing for Marvel rares at $20 to $30 for a non-foil, and $35 to $50 for a foil. This is coming back from the fact that I literally have been playing since Grimm, and so, like, I know the history of Force of Will's card market, singles market, up and down for foils versus non-foils versus full arts versus supers versus everything else. My hypothesis is that's where we stabilize. So the question becomes, for Paul, the budget player, would that be a price point that you would understand and feel comfortable with? And then the question for Mike is, do you agree or disagree that that's where they could fall? And if so, is that appropriate? So Paul first. Is that a price point that you would feel comfortable with across the board? Okay. Why? Why?
Okay, so why? So I think it should be 4 Marvels per box.
Sure.
So we're looking at 10 to 20 for your basic foils.
Okay.
I do not need shiny bling. I do not care. I frankly don't. I just want to play the game. And if I'm trying to do that in a way that's accessible, I don't want to have price point be the reason that I can't play the game.
Sure.
Right. So if an Altising falls to like $10, $15, great. Like, I can afford that. I can manage that on my own.
Sure.
And I have the figured out deal with Jeremy Franklin to figure that whole thing out, right? And if y'all want to bling out your deck, you want some Arleys that are all like blinged out and they're ready to go for your Lilius deck. I don't even know if people are actually going to play that card, but if it's $30, great. I'm glad you want that. Here you go. If it's your Kikis and they're $40 because they're hollow, great. But if I want to play Celesta, I don't want to be barred away from that.
Sure.
Like,
so you would feel more comfortable with like a non-foil variant being like 10 to 20 and a foil variant being in that like 30 to 45 range.
Yeah,
Because
it would
for
make
you,
sense.
because for you, then you still have access to something at a lower cost, but if you packed a foil, you could be like, "Oh, cool, I could move this." So it's like not locked out, but still potentially profitable based on how you pack.
Yeah, this game has never been pay to play.
Sure.
And I've really enjoyed that, and that's the reason I keep playing it. It's because I can just get everything that I need base rare, and then if I want to upgrade, I can, but I don't have to play the game and be competitive.
It's very fair. Mike?
100% agreed, but I'm also going to say the 20 to 25 price point is exorbitant for a Marvel rare, because I'm actually going to go a little bit historical and go back to the Grimm days.
Sure.
Because I will say that when I dropped $80 on a set of Cheshire Cats back in the day, just the standard non-pantsless ones, it was a purchase that I felt originally kind of iffy on, but then made more sense as it was the only printing of it.
Sure.
The big deal is that now we have non-foils and foil versions.
Sure.
And I think that players looking to get the foil versions should not be, players looking for the foil versions should not feel like their investment going for a foil version is not worth it. Like 35 to 40 for a foil Marvel rare, okay, totally fine. 30 to 40, 45, anything up in that range, anything hovering based on its playability, its necessity for the deck. As Paul mentioned, Kiki is like bar none the only necessary card for Celesta, and having a foil version of that at like 35 to 40 is fine for the blinged out player. But in my opinion, knowing how the state of the game has been for such a long time, and for how the kind of flexibility you get from having both foil and non-foil options,
Sure.
I would want to see like an $8 to $13 range for the Marvels, for like the lowest Marvel usage. I'm like Arl, for example,
Sure.
should be an $8 to $9 card. Kiki, 12 to 14, maybe
Sure.
something along those lines. Just very baseline. It should be accessible,
Sure.
but it shouldn't dissuade players from investing in the set to feel like they can sell those out.
Do you
and it
think?
shouldn't-
Do you think that at 3 per pack, you'll find that level of stabilization, or 3 per
Possibly.
box?
Actually, so the math is wonky because you also have to factor in the God pack.
Which is all foils.
But even without that, just overall, if you pick up a case of
Sure.
the set, you are almost guaranteed a full set of every Marvel rare because
Based on how you pull, yeah.
Figure 3 per box. That puts you up to 18, but the
God
last
pack is
18
23.
the God pack,
Yeah,
which
20
puts you
20
over that.
Yeah.
So all things considered, unless you're like 99th or first percentile, where you just get like a bajillion Arls,
Yeah.
then you know. But even so, most of the time you're not getting the same. I don't think you're ever going to get the same 3 Marvel rares out of a set, out of a pack. So like lowest possible denominator, you're getting 3. Like, you're getting like 2 playsets of 3 Marvel rares out of that, so you can trade those out for whatever else you need. But again, we're talking cases. We're talking like collectors going into the game. This is like a new player isn't going to get a case. A new player is barely going to want to get 2 boxes.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm saying
but, like,
I think for the price point that you're both talking about, which I'm fine with either way, because like I don't sell singles, right? I've never been, although when I have acquired, I mean, some of the perks of being the YouTube side of things and everything else is that like I get pretty much paid in promos, which then I have to sell to make money, right? But like outside of that, I don't really get into the singles market. Like I'm fine with it being the ranges that you guys are talking about. I'm wondering if we can stabilize to that with 3 per pack, and I think we can definitely stabilize at that value with 4 per pack. And I still think that that's probably the way to go, which is, again, the feedback that I gave to them upon opening is 3 might be too little. We might need to go back up to 4. Because, like, again, we know that 5's too much.
Either that.
3 might be too little.
Either that or you have to put the staple card that is needed for the deck to play in the super slot instead of the Marvel slot.
Correct.
I think the Marvel slot may need to be like almost like a Hearthstone Epic spot where it's something that is not easy to use, but is not totally necessary for the deck, but a very, very strong card. And I think that's kind of the
Breedmon, I'm sorry. You can definitely join in future weeks. These were the guys that I had set up for tonight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's 1 God pack per case. We'll have to wait and see until people start opening actual cases. I have opened 6 boxes that did not all come from the sealed case and got a God pack. So that means nothing in terms of our ratios here. So we'll have to wait and see until this Friday when we actually see people opening sealed cases and stuff if it's 1 per case. But we'll have to see.
Look at Bremont calling Andrew Vatland a future daddy. I'm going to call him current daddy.
Stop, please. So it'll be interesting.
That's my daddy.
Yeah. So
big Chungus.
I think that we'll have to. I think the one thing that was interesting for this set design is that all of the for the most part, Marvel rares were very integral split cards for their respective rulers, right? In the set where split cards are being introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's also a part of it that maybe the company is trying to experiment with exactly what needs to fit in the Marvel rare slot. Like, what kind of card are we putting there? Because last set was very much these are very good cards that provide some utility, but you're not hosed if you don't have them, unless you're trying to play Schrodinger combo and then you use Schrodinger. But there's a reason why.
Technically speaking, like, Altusing is not necessary for the Welser deck. He has almost no synergy with Welser as a ruler.
Right.
He has synergy with his mechanics.
Right.
Kiki, on the other hand, is literally the deck.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they're still trying to experiment with, like, what does a card what traits does a card need to have to justify putting it in the Marvel Rare slot, which is why I think we're seeing this experimentation. I think overall this is showing that the company is still kind of experimenting, which transitions us very nicely to my third topic for the rest of the night, the state of the game. I'm not going to go into the content of what was said, but there have been, with little chirpings here and there, with the pack ratio stuff, with maybe some people concerned about ruler design, whatever, but also people who have no real justifiable credibility in terms of being able to give their opinion on the state of the game, that both recently and not so recently this has happened for people who seemingly came out of nowhere, told us our game was dead, and then left.
Ooh, wow.
The thing to note is I think it is still very clear that there are discussions and experimentations happening to try to still figure things out and flush things out. And I think, in all honesty, this was probably one of the best designed, like independently in and of itself, best designed sets we've seen in a while. For individual fun, cool cards, cool concepts, reprints that didn't feel bad. Like, a majority of our reprints were attached to something else, which is like, oh, cool. So that's me potentially getting to use a card that I used to really like, but it's like, oh, but it's also new. It has a new take on it. Yes, the crests. Like, the crests are the only real clear, like, this is just the crests. But, like, okay, like, I'm okay with that, because they were a fun concept that never got really explored, and now they're receiving some support to be explorable. I think that COVID has a lot of people's minds on what happens to trading card games. I pay attention to the community. I pay attention to the new people coming to the community. I pay attention both in the Reddit and I've gotten very active in the Reddit, and I've been very surprised that I'm sorry that I didn't get more active more. Like, I have said it for a while, and again, feel free to, Jeremy's just shilling. Force of Will, I think, has solidified itself into being a tier 1.5, tier 2 game.
Shilling.
And they're very comfortable. And I think the company is now, at a position where they feel comfortable there. Like, they accepted that that's where they were going to be. They've stabilized into being that. And now we're seeing them kind of explore that space, both in set design and approach to things. And I think it's going really well. Like, negativity is gonna exist. There are gonna be things that we have to kind of, like, take. But, like, compare the things that we've had to take to the things that have been coming out of, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic community as of late. It just, I don't know, and it might be just me, but, like, it feels like vocal minority, and just maybe the concept of 2020 is people are giving more credence to the vocal minority than they have ever really done in the past. And so I just want to focus people back on the fact that they are, in fact, a hyper minority, and when you look into context of where those people's opinions come from or where their evidence comes from, it falls apart very quickly.
I've heard clickbait for getting views is really good, especially when half the comments on said video are talking about people being like, oh, I thought you were talking about the Magic card Force of Will dropping. Oh, no. And I'm like, that's your target audience, bud. That's who you're going for. That's your target. That's what you got it, dude. I didn't watch the video. I don't want to give that guy ad revenue.
I didn't either.
I have college degree comments.
College degree comments, go!
So, the hallmark of a good organization is an organization that keeps the interests of its base and can figure out a way to continue to innovate and continue to change to better meet its mission and hone what it wants to do. And then when it needs to change, it acknowledges it, and it does that really well. Force of Will has done that every single time with this new company. I'm just going to throw that out there. If you don't want to ride the positivity wave, okay, that's fine. That you do you, man. Because you're probably a guy. But in all honesty, if you don't want to get on the positivity wave, I don't know how you're going to enjoy this game.
Or
I'm
games
not gonna
in
enjoy
general.
any game if you're on the... Yeah, exactly. Come on, are you gonna play a game to complain about things? Like, some people, yes.
If your answer is yes, there are tools for you outside of this card game.
So I'm gonna hit to the. I'm gonna hit to the. I'm gonna hit the chat real quick. Victoria, how much more do the alt art rulers cost compared to the regular rulers for them to be considering they look the same? First off, we don't really know exactly what we're expecting in terms of pull rates for alt art rulers because we haven't seen people open actual like raw sets. I can tell you that I have opened up 6 boxes from 2 the company sent me, and then the 4 that I received through my sponsorship stuff to get all set up for openings and everything else. And I opened 1 alternate art. I opened an alternate art Lilius. I can speak to CCG Prime, who opened up a bunch of pre-release kits and pulled 3 alternate art rulers. I think CCG Prime Dan Rowland will very quickly correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he pulled 3, and I think he opened 6 pre-release kits, which is 12 boxes. So that'll be 3 alternate art rulers in 12 boxes.
Yeah, Dan goes hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's getting into the singles market, so like he wants to he wants to get in there. So like it really comes down to like 1, which alternate art you have, and 2, how much people care over slight differences in card. I can see the average alternate art going for like maybe 10 to 15 more than the regular, but you're not going to be like, oh, this is twice the price. Like, I think it's going to be well within reasonable bounds. And I also don't think it's going to impact the like value of base rulers. In my opinion, with known pull rates of rulers, I think rulers are going to sit at comfortably between 20 to 30 for a ruler that you want. Again, I tend to potentially err a little bit higher or have a little bit more confidence in what people are willing to pay. I can't see a ruler going for more than 30. They haven't in a long time. Some of them that are out of rotation still do. Cough, cough, Imul, cough, cough, Dusk Girl. Like, I don't know why those ones go for so much. They go for like 40, 50.
Waifu tax.
Yeah, probably waifu tax. But we'll see. But yeah, that's just, my position there. I also still want to go into Samuel. What should I say / show to my locals to get them to start playing? First off,
Valentina.
Mike, I'm gonna kick you out again. I'm just my hands are gonna drop and you're suddenly gonna disconnect.
Don't even look at your hands, Jeremy. Keep them up here.
This is why you're the epicenter, Mike. This is why they're coming from.
So I will say that it's based on what card game they come from. The easiest thing is to build a couple of very simple decks that play well against one another. Like not just like, oh, this is a blowout, but like 2 very unique different decks that pair well together. And maybe that's something that we can talk about next office lounge. Office hours is like how to build those decks or whatever. Office lounge. All my shows are blending together. But the biggest thing, especially if you're going to a Magic player, here's the pitch that when I did demos at conventions for Force of Will, talking to a Magic player, my thing is, hey, so you play Magic. What is the very worst thing that can happen after mulligans in Magic? And they will always, 100% of the time, you will get one of 2 answers. All lands, no lands. And then you respond to that answer by, cool, here's a game that solved that problem. And that is usually enough to get them to sit down to play a demo. I don't think there's ever been a time where I've given that line to a Magic player and not gotten a full demo out of them. So that's my biggest thing that I would recommend there. Yeah, Andrew, you're very behind. You didn't know alternate rulers were in the set. Neither did many of us until about 2 days ago after we started opening cards.
That's a good PR move. I love it.
Make more rulers like Dark Alice. Hey, Dan Roland is asking if we want to give away an iMule in December to the community. I'm fine with that. You got some iMules to throw my way? Let's do it, Dan.
That sounds like a pretty good time. If I can get more people on the green Imul deck, oh hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so like that's. I mean, I think.
Oof.
I think
Matt
that's.
Seymour needs
Yeah, Matt Seymour needs an Imul. Do I still have my Japanese Uber one? I should go.
Oh,
Should I just go?
flex.
Hold on, I'm gonna go flex on the community real quick. You guys talk.
Is that
For a
why you
second.
don't wear long sleeves, Jeremy?
see, you just got to, you know.
I destroyed so many shirts, guys.
Let's see. It's just the last 20 minutes is just gonna be Jeremy flexing his collection.
Yeah.
Let's
Notice
see.
he only wears t-shirts.
I
It's
do.
real.
I do only wear t-shirts. Where is she? Yeah, here she is. Shing.
Just casually. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, there it is.
I'll turn off
my eyes.
turn off the ring light.
Flip her over.
There we go.
Flip her over.
Yeah.
It burns.
Whoop.
Hey, that's the
Yeah.
real side. The front side's the one that matters.
The front side is the one that matters.
Big PP energy.
So I mean, I think the biggest thing is with Force of Will in the community is that like anytime you see negativity, anytime you see like frustration or people trying to bash the game, I think it's really important to look at the context of like where that person is even getting their information from, what they're basing their frustration in. Because a lot of times it's
Also,
like,
how many GP tops they have?
don't listen to that. It's like snaps. It's like snap emotional reactions, or if it's like someone having a snap emotional reaction, or it's someone coming with evidence that just like doesn't quite make sense or doesn't feel fully fleshed out or kind of comes out of left field, you can just move on because like you don't have to take that as an indicator of what the game is as health as a whole. Case in point, new card layouts. When I had a conversation with Mike Rance about the new card layouts the first time we talked about it, Mike was abhorrently against them. Paul was also kind of meh about them. Not abhorribly against, but kind of meh.
Yeah, I was like, I was on that side of it for
Yeah.
sure.
Would you like to know how many times in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks, month, Mike Rance and Paul and I have had any kind of discussion about the borders in any kind of frustrated way? Zero. Like, and also the community has had, for the most part, zero. Because again,
Am I going to say that it's still a good idea? No. But
no. But like it was a
it's
snap
actually
emotional
one-
yeah, it's a snap emotional reaction. It's not an actual representation of the health of the game or the enjoyment or participation or what you like out of the game. I should give boxes away on my stream. Okay, so let's point this out, Andrew Vatland. I can't make it so that members get entries into drawings. YouTube doesn't like that because that's gambling. Because you're paying money to get entries into a drawing and gambling laws and everything else. However, I can say that I can host contests for giveaways if I reach a certain member threshold because I'll have the funding to be able to support those. And then I can do giveaway videos where everyone who makes a comment can get an entry on it. There you go. There's a join button.
The answer is give Jeremy money.
No, don't. Yeah, yes, no. And anyway.
My head hurts now.
Yeah, but like I going back to what we said before, you know, snap emotional reactions are not an indicator of health of the game. People coming to you, regardless of how credible they are, or sorry, how big they are, with not
Good catch. Good catch.
with not without good evidence, without good research, without good context or justification for what they're presenting, are not indicators of good health. Case in point, there have been many examples of, I can think of 3 I can think of two actual important ones, or big name ones, and one that just came out of left field in terms of people who make content coming out of nowhere and putting forward a really, really harsh negative opinion about this game in a clickbaity way that people were like, oh, it's just mean we're abandoning ship. And in none of those cases was it a time to abandon ship. Because these people were typically people who were looking at FAO from an outside perspective, didn't actually talk to people inside the community, or just didn't play the game and decided to try to throw their opinion on it from an outsider view. It just seemed really important because of who they were, regardless of the context of that they actually have no idea what they're talking about. So you got to look at the context, you got to look at the focus, and then you got to remember that negativity is always louder than positivity, and typically people speak negatively more consistently than they speak positively.
It's also much easier to make a video on a tier 1.5 game that you can take pot shots at. So just remember that these people are taking the low road for the most part in terms of making videos slandering a game that's just kind of been a niche game for a while. So take that as you will. Yeah.
This game is not trying to be Magic; it's trying to be Force of Will. So I think to hold it up against a bigger company is.
If this game was trying to be Magic, I wouldn't play it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was trying to be Magic, I wouldn't play it either because I don't like Magic.
Yeah,
I respect
tried
Magic.
it was
Can't play
okay.
Magic.
This game was infinitely better.
Yep.
But I just want to pose a question to the community. What would happen if we just let ourselves be excited about the changes that are happening?
Whoa. Crazy.
If you let yourself be excited that the changes are happening, you'd have a channel called Ruler School TCG and you'd make content every week.
Oh, wow! When did that happen?
5 years ago. I've been doing this for 5 years.
Good old Shrilly Goat Gruff.
But look at all the cool stuff I have because of it.
But look at the real power of Force Will is the friends we made along the way.
Look at this binder full of metal rulers.
Okay, so Jeremy's here toting this. I'm toting the friendship line here, and Jeremy's bringing his metal ruler box.
Let's not talk about the monetary.
Who puts metal rulers in a binder? Look at this guy.
Let's talk about the fact that I go to locals, and every time I say I'm going to ride the positivity wave and have a good time, I never leave disappointed.
Yep, even when he goes 0-3.
Yeah, it's time well spent.
It's true.
Yeah.
I
built 12 Conqueror decks. I bring them to locals. I throw them at someone. Someone plays it and is like, "This deck sucks." I'm like, "Great. Did you enjoy playing it?" They're like, "Yeah."
And I think that to me,
every deck sucks in its own specific way,
and I
that's
think
the most important part.
And I think to me that was, I think to me that's one of the things about this set design that I enjoyed the most is like with our little 4-man. You can go watch the stream. Like we had a 4-man sealed and then the 4-man draft. In the sealed, all of us were playing very different decks, and they all functioned. And then in the draft, we all played very different decks, and they all functioned. And all of us had a good time, winning or losing, with the different varieties of decks that we were playing. Like, and to me, when you can do that out of one set, like that's enjoyment. Like that's the fun of it. And I think that there have been so many sets, both in the sealed environment and in the constructed environment, where sets are so very clearly pigeonholed in design-wise that like cards are only going to function one way, and if you don't play them that way, you're not gonna have a good time. That to me, this set shows that we can play cards in a lot of different ways and have a really good time, and that's good. Trust me, Aramis, FAO is dying, guys. Trust me, I did say it 2 years ago, but it's almost true.
Oh, speaking of 2 years ago, David Hartley shared a old school fucking Force Will UK man.
Force Will UK. That channel still exists.
I love that boy with all my heart. I still get recommended videos from that one on the Deepwood channel from 5 years ago. But no, but he shared a picture from 2 years ago of Anton making a post saying FAO is dead. on Forceful After Dark, and it's just like nothing has ever rung more true. And listen, I
Wait,
fucking love
say
Anton.
that again. Give me from the
He
beginning
shared
again.
a he shared a picture of Anton's post from like 2 years ago on FOW After Dark saying FOW is dead. GG everyone. From 2 years ago.
Where did he share that?
Oh god. No, it was in one of my group chats with
Oh,
him.
sure.
But it's so funny. God, and I love David. I love Anton with all my heart. I know that things were weird way back when he kind of got short end of the stick early
Whatever.
on.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge at this point. He's a good guy, but seeing that post from that long ago with that exact sentiment and statement is hilarious.
Well, because I
to
think
me.
I think a part of it is there has been at the beginning of FOW's history, right? In the beginning of FOW history, everybody who came to play FOW wanted it and felt like it could take on the big three. That was the goal that the community gave the game. And so when it didn't meet that goal, people felt like it failed. And so it was dead.
Yep.
I don't ever really think that that was the game's goal. And I think
Oh, it never should have been.
I think the game more and more now, it's been like two phases of like one, the company has slowly been making decisions that I think reflect the fact that it's not trying to meet that goal. And the players who still wanted it to be that goal have gotten frustrated and left, which again, if this is not what you want, you are more than welcome to leave. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be stopping that.
But also the people who are left are also starting to really accept the fact that that's not really the company's goal and are therefore enjoying more of what the company is doing for what it is goal of we're going to make a very stable tier 2 tier 1.5 game and enjoy it. Ta-da.
Oh my
Force
god,
of
is this a
Will
game
is-
about having fun?
Good.
Oh, I can't deal with that. I don't want my games to be fun. I want to play Pokemon where I just watch my opponent play with himself for a minute, pass the turn to me because I didn't win, and then I can play myself for a minute, and then the game's over. And that was very well enjoyed. I got to look at a bunch of cards in my deck, which I could do alone, and then it was great.
Yeah.
But now, oops, this game has interaction and like consistency, and people that and themes to the decks.
Yeah.
Gross.
Wow.
I'm not opinionated at all. Don't worry.
I don't quite hate the Pokemon TCG that much. I do enjoy a good round of Pokemon every once in a while.
I
But-
tried it. I tried it once. My friends tried to get me into it. I couldn't.
It's okay, man.
I couldn't do it.
Leave it for folks like me. But the thing that I want to just point, Force of Will is the Nintendo of trading card games. It's not trying to be the Sony or the Xbox, right? It's just trying to be something that is accessible. It wants to be more universal and innovative. Like Nintendo is not trying to compete with people, right? Val is not trying to compete with Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just trying to be its own thing, and it's trying to innovate and become the best game it can be. That's the way I look at it. Now, if that's not right, you can disagree with me about Nintendo if you want, but that's kind of like where I see things go.
I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good point. And like, I think the other to kind of go that route even further, like when Nintendo has misses, the community is just kind of like the community who's who's supportive of Nintendo's. It's just kind of like, that's okay, Nintendo, you tried, like, and they just
Wii U.
and they just keep enjoying what, and they're just like, we'll see what you do next. That'll be enjoyable, right? And I think to that same credit, the community that's left, again with Force of Will, is very much that. Like, okay, they might have an emotional reaction, but at the end, they're like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing to really take away from this is like when you see negativity, like you have to put it into that kind of context of like, how really backbreaking is this? Like, where is this person's complaint coming from? what are they comparing it to that makes this bad? Because, like, if you compare Magic to FAO, first off, I'm going to tell you a lot of good things that FAO does that Magic doesn't, and then you can tell me your complaint about what Magic does that FAO doesn't. And then I'm going to go, yeah, that's okay. I've got all these other things going for me. I'll be okay. Yeah, so it's just my message to the community is like, this is a good game. This is a good community. Positivity will always be quieter. Positivity will always be quieter than negativity, because positivity is not a driving force for vocalism, just in general. Like, in your day-to-day life, how many times are you, like, actively motivated to verbally express positivity? From a psychology standpoint, you're not, right? It's not because you're just like, man, how many times you're like, man, I really like this, for no reason whatsoever. You're just not psychologically driven to do that. You are psychologically driven to try to enact change on something that bothers you, so you become vocal about it. So,
hello, Counselor Jeremy. Very nice to have you with us on the stream. Thanks for coming.
I have a degree and a license.
Like, hey, are you a therapist?
I am.
I would also say that even if positivity is quieter, it can spiral upward just as negativity can spiral downward.
Correct.
I've seen it in communities everywhere. And if we build on our positivity, it's going to be enjoyable for everybody. So,
yes, agreed.
Yeah.
So, to end that, I am going to do a thing to appease some people, because I know that it's coming. It does take 7 positives to overcome 1 negative. In terms of, like, impact on your brain. Gary Felix is asking, does anyone know when alternate art Kickstarter, when Kickstarter stuff is going to get centered out for alternate souls? They should be making a post, so I won't say, like, full details. COVID has impacted that as well, so there is going to be a little bit of a delay in alternate souls, but they are working on it. I have reminded them to actually make posts on their Kickstarter page to let people know, but they're working on it. However, 1 second.
Ooh, look at this. Secret time, boys.
It's not really a secret. I'm just gonna build some hype. I will let Paul pick one, and I will let Mike pick one. Pick a character.
Valentina.
Pick a different character.
Wait.
Damn it.
I want you to tell me what character I shouldn't pick, Jeremy.
Pick a character.
Okay, fine. 0.
Okay.
You'd sing.
Jeez Louise.
Charlotte.
He's not listening anymore. So, Paul, you want to slander Jeremy's good name right now?
Yeah. He is
All right, cool.
the bestest friend I have ever had.
This guy is
God.
so good at everything. I love that guy so much. Wait, don't say anything. Shh. Hey, Jeremy, welcome back.
Hey, what's up? What were you guys talking about?
Guys, do not tell him in chat what we said about him.
Do not tell him.
Okay.
Sing.
Whoa.
There's feasting.
Do one of these puppies. Do one of these.
Nice ring light.
Yeah, sorry. There we go. Feasting right there.
Whoa. That's lapis cluster feasting too.
Yeah.
Not just any feasting. It's the feasting.
The feasting where she dies. Sad.
Oh, Rippy.
And
I thought the
then
bomb. Pretty sure it's a bomb. Ooh.
0.
Oh, flowy cape girl.
Her better half.
Trying to get it to focus. Come on, camera.
There you go.
There you go.
Ah, there it is.
There it is. 0. So there's your alternate art. There's your alternate souls fun stuff. The most vile things were spewing from their mouths. Don't worry, I'll have a conversation with them after this.
Yes.
With that being said, that is going to be it for us tonight. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, I think it's important every now and then to really touch base with the state of the game, with like things from a perspective of these are people who have actively been in the game for the past year and have been mindful and investigating and having discussions. I think having these kind of conversations is important. I really do appreciate everybody who's been active in the chat today. Lots of members and lots of members.
32 people. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of members and non-members. So very much have appreciated that. Remember, these office hours, the chat is always open for everybody, but when we have things like the teachers lounge, if that comes back, which it probably never will, that show has that show has served its purpose. But like lesson planning and GP streams, those are chats are locked to members only. So if you want to consider being able to be active in those chats and ask questions and stuff, consider clicking that join button. It's minimum $2 a month to join as a member and gets you access to the emotes, the badges by your name, the name coloring, everything else. And again, it goes a long way to help support what we do. But feel free to click that subscribe button down below as well, and then we'll see you guys next time. So office hours are officially closed, and so for that we're going to send you out into the night. And to say goodnight, it has been myself, Jeremy Franklin, and I've been joined by Mike Rance and Paul Reisman. Oh my gosh, I need Brandon back. Class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Bye.